To understand why many people are moving to Texas, we need to start by talking about its geography. Texas is the most populous state in the south-central region of the United States, covering 268,596 square miles, and with over 30 million residents as of 2023, it is the second-largest U.S. state by both area and population. If it were an independent country, Texas would be the 39th largest. It ranks 27th worldwide amongst country subdivisions by size. The large size of Texas and its location at the intersection of multiple climate zones gives the state highly variable weather. The panhandle of the state has colder winters than North Texas, while the Gulf Coast has mild winters. The weather in Texas is not always great. Thunderstorms strike Texas often, especially the eastern and northern portions of the state. Tornado Alley covers the northern section of Texas. The state experiences the most tornadoes in the United States, an average of 139 a year. These strike most frequently in North Texas and the Panhandle. Tornadoes in Texas generally occur in April, May, and June. Historically, for major industries shaped the Texas economy prior to World War II: cattle and bison, cotton, timber, and oil. Before and after the Civil War, the cattle industry, which Texas came to dominate, was a major economic driver and created the traditional image of the Texas cowboy. In the later 19th century, cotton and lumber grew to be major industries as the cattle industry became less lucrative. Ultimately, the discovery of major petroleum deposits initiated an economic boom that became the driving force behind the economy for much of the 20th century. As of January 1, 2021, Texas has proved recoverable petroleum reserves of about 15.6 billion barrels of crude oil. That's 44% of the known U.S. reserves and 9.5 billion barrels of natural gas liquids. The state's refineries can process 5.95 million barrels of oil a day. The Port Arthur refinery in southeast Texas is the largest refinery in the U.S. Texas is also a leader in natural gas production at 28.8 billion cubic feet per day, some 32% of the nation's production. Texas has 102.4 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves, which is 23% of the nation's gas reserves. Texas developed a diversified economy and high-tech industry during the mid-20th century. As of 2022, it has the most Fortune 500 company headquarters in the United States. With a growing base of industry, the state leads in many industries. Texas has led the U.S. in state export revenue since 2002 and has the second highest GSP. The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and Greater Houston areas are the nation's fourth and fifth most populous urban regions, respectively. Its capital city is Austin. Beginning around the mid-20th century, Texas began to transform from a rural and agricultural state to one urban and industrialized. The state's population grew quickly during this period, with large levels of migration from outside the state. As a part of the Sun Belt, Texas experienced strong economic growth, particularly during the 1970s and early 1980s. Texas's economy diversified, lessening its reliance on the petroleum industry. From the mid-2000s to 2019, Texas gained an influx of business relocations and regional headquarters from companies in California. Texas became a major destination for migration during the early 21st century and was named the most popular state to move for 3 consecutive years. Another study in 2019 determined Texas's growth rate at 1,000 people per day. As of 2022, Texas had a GSP of $2.4 trillion, the second highest in the U.S. The state ranks 22nd among U.S. states with a median household income of $64,034. While the poverty rate is 14.2%, making Texas the state with 14th highest poverty rate compared to 13.15% nationally. As of May 2020, the state's unemployment rate was 13%. Texas's economy is the second largest of any country subdivision globally, behind California. Texas' large population, an abundance of natural resources, thriving cities and leading centers of higher education have contributed to a large and diverse economy. In 2010, Site Selection magazine ranked Texas as the most business-friendly state, in part because of the state's $3 billion Texas Enterprise Fund. In 2014, for the 13th year in a row, Texas led the United States in export revenues. Texas exports for 2008 totaled $192.2 billion. Texas has a reputation for a low tax. According to the Tax Foundation, Texan state and local tax burdens are 7th lowest nationally. State and local taxes cost $3,580 per capita, or 8.4% of resident incomes. Texas is one of 7 states that lack a state income tax. Instead, the state collects revenue from property taxes and sales taxes. Texas is a tax donor state. In 2005, for every dollar Texans paid to the federal government in federal income taxes, the state got back about 94 cents in benefits. To attract business, Texas has incentive programs worth $19 billion per year, more than any other U.S. state. It has the most farms of all United States, both in terms of number and acreage. Texas leads the nation in number of cattle, usually exceeding 16 million head. The sprawling 320,000 deeded acres La Escalera Ranch, located 20 miles south of Fort Stockton, is one of the largest cattle ranches in the southwestern United States. Texas leads nationally in production of sheep and goat products. It leads the nation in cotton production, its leading crop and second most valuable farm product. Texas is a leader in cereal crop production. It is also a large producer of watermelons, grapefruits, and cantaloupes. The state is one of the major hubs in the U.S. for development of computer components, systems, software, and information infrastructure. With large university systems coupled with initiatives like the Texas Enterprise Fund and the Texas Emerging Technology Fund, a wide array of different high-tech industries have developed in Texas. The Austin area is nicknamed the Silicon Hills, and the North Dallas area the Silicon Prairie. This is because of the concentration of semiconductor design companies including AMD, Cirrus Logic, Freescale Semiconductor, Intel, and Silicon Labs. Many high-tech companies are located in or have their headquarters in Texas and Austin in particular, including Tesla, Dell, Borland, ForcePoint, Indeed.com, Texas Instruments, Perot Systems, Rackspace, and AT&T. The NASA Johnson Space Center is located in southeast Houston. Both SpaceX and Blue Origin have their test facilities in Texas. Fort Worth hosts both Lockheed Martin's Aeronautics Division and Bell Helicopter Textron. Lockheed builds the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the largest Western fighter program, and its successor, the F-35 Lightning II in Fort Worth. Austin was one of the top areas for venture capital, with investors investing $621 million in 2013. 43% of that went to software and semiconductor firms. Overall, Texas's combination of natural resources, diverse economy, business-friendly policies, and thriving urban centers have made it a highly desirable destination for migration and economic opportunity. If you would like to see more of this content, please consider subscribing.